I used that
I don't want to know.
windshield to
It was a fart
a little,
filter.
little sleeping bag
Sleeping bag for what?
for the old. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Checkpoint Radio. It's episode 8, and as usual, we've got a ton of stuff to talk about today, including the recent PlayStation showcase, the first one in 2 years. So lots to discuss there, a bunch of new reveals and some surprises, and we'll also have a quick look at the news. But before that, it's not Checkpoint Radio about the boys. So Ben, how are you doing?
Very good, thank you very much. Had a nice few days off. I spent the day in the sun yesterday with the family and managed to finally complete The Witcher 3 plus all the
Jesus
DLC.
Christ.
A day
Round
I
of
never
applause for
thought
Ben.
would ever come. Thank you. Thank you.
Arriving 8 years later.
It was a journey, but it was an excellent journey. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I found myself completely just impressed from start to finish with the amount of attention to detail and obvious effort that the devs did making that game and its DLC.
Yeah.
And it's just a great example of what games can be like when everything hits the mark. Everything from story to gameplay to mechanics to I don't know, everything else that you could name about a good RPG.
The thing about The Witcher, like, it's obvious from playing that game that it's had a lot of love and attention put into it. It's very clear from the off, and I mean, it might be. It's great that you've completed it, but you may experience what many of us have experienced upon completing The Witcher. You just get that period of nothing is ever going to compare to this game. I'm not going to play anything that's going to match up to what I've experienced in The Witcher.
Well, I've already got that experience, so I'm now looking at my backlog of games to complete and play, and my brother recommended to play Outer Worlds, and
it's a good game.
It's all right, but I've got that serious comparison problem going on.
Yeah.
Like, I'm comparing it to The Witcher, and I'm like, these quests are boring. The fucking conversations are dull. The world is empty. Like,
maybe you need to play a really trash game.
Yeah,
that's what I feel like I'm playing now, to be honest.
Play that game.
Whoa, hang on a minute. That's unfair. That game's good. The game's good. I guess so. If you compare it with the Witcher, like directly after, then you may get some sort of the quality's not quite there.
I think I need a complete genre,
and then after that, everything will look good.
2 out of 10.
I'm getting
ouch.
Yeah,
but so I just
cool.
need really good. So all good.
Awesome, wicked. Connor, how you doing? What you been up to?
I've had a stressful week at work, to be honest. No. And then, so in my downtime, I've been playing Dead Cells again, which is fantastic.
Oh, nice.
Just played some of the DLC that I missed. And then they've got a Castlevania level, which is really good. And then, nothing much. I watched Interstellar last night because I've been meaning to watch it for ages. And just fell in love with that film over again.
Yeah, I don't know if I can put myself through that again.
It's
such a good film.
I showed my partner that movie recently after years of sort of like talking about it to her and like explaining why I think it's such a good movie. Well, it's a great movie. The ending's a little bit like, we won't really go into that too much, but the film on the whole is just like, it's such a spectacle.
Yeah.
And I showed it to my partner the other day, and she loved it. Obviously, it's a great movie.
Yeah, I'm
and
not surprised.
I think we've mentioned this before, but there's just a real kind of lack of quality in films at the moment. So we've kind of been going back and watching all the old movies that we just loved, movies that are great, and like, ones you can go back to that you're going to have a great time watching them.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how many years have passed. Yeah. They're going to be excellent.
No, I'm just hyped for Oppenheimer.
Yeah, man, that is good.
Put the hype levels really just up there. Yeah. So, a bit of a quiet week. Charlie, what have you been up to?
Also, stressful week at work. Transferred twice, which means early starts and late finishes.
Oh, no.
So, bit of a dread week. But I'm going to Turkey in a couple of days' time, which is nice. So
nice.
Got that to look forward to. So kind of got me through the week. And then we jumped on FIFA. Getting the pro clubs going again, which is
it's like the most toxic game like in existence. It just brings out another side of you that is just not there. It awakens a demon. It's fun, it's fun when the game's not, being total fucking
let
garbage.
That evil run through you.
Like Palpatine.
Other than that, not a great deal. What about you, James?
I've not really been up to too much, to be honest. I mean, I've work is just so busy, like all the time. So, yeah, I'm trying to find, like you, Ben. I'm trying to find another game to play. I mean, I'm playing Tears of the Kingdom at the moment, and it's good, but I do think there is an element of like, oh, it's Nintendo. Let's hype it up to 1 million. It's a good game. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, it's just not quite sort of filling that hole for me. Yeah. Well, I don't know if oversold is the right way to describe it. I think for me personally, it's just not really kind of what I want to play at the moment. I've enjoyed what I've played of it so far. I've played about 10 hours and it's nowhere near enough to kind of judge the game. And I'm not saying that the game's, bad or anything. I'm going to see it through to the end. But I think I'm in the mood for something like, I don't know, I'm in the mood for something like sci-fi at the moment or like a shooter or something like that. So, yeah, maybe I'll try and find something to play there. But yeah,
that's why I picked the Outer Wilds for that whole, like, I was playing Swords and Shields for hundreds of hours, and I was like, well, I'm going to play something sci-fi, but I think I need a genre switch. But I read a really interesting post by The Gamer, which was like, I don't understand, or it's something to do with like Zelda and understanding and appreciating the hype, but talking from an honest perspective of like, I just don't get it. And then it resonated with me because I'm the person sat there like, I don't get it either.
You don't get it, yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, it's really good to read, actually. It's really good, really honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think like Nintendo, they've got a lot of people's good faith, which is understandable because they're a beloved video game company and their games are unique. They really are, and you're always going to get like a unique experience from playing their games, which is that in itself is an underrated aspect of video games at the moment because a lot of games are sort of copy and paste, same old stuff. But yeah, I mean, Tears of the Kingdom is good. But yeah, I mean, other than the game and stuff, I've been trying to sort out the garden. It's just a mess at the moment. So yeah, pretty boring. Yeah, I mean, it is. But yeah, boring average life of a 30-something-year-old. So not much to say there. So we're going to wrap this section up because it's getting a bit dull. Let's move on to the news. Right then, before we get into the PlayStation showcase and sort of give our thoughts and discuss that a little bit, a couple of news stories that we wanted to highlight this past sort of week or so. The first one, Overwatch cancels its PvE hero mode. Game director Aaron Keller announced in a developer livestream outlining the Overwatch 2 roadmap that the team is cancelling the game's PvE-based hero missions in favour of continuing with seasonal story-focused events. Give me that money. I don't care about story mode anymore. That's what they've said. The game was set to have 2 PvE campaign modes. The story missions, which are essentially a continuation of the PvE content from Overwatch 1, and then the additional hero mode, which was a new mode. It was presented as an always available replayable mode that featured like talent trees and had more sort of RPG elements to it. It sounded pretty cool, to be fair. And I think it was something that a lot of people were excited for, but they've binned it off.
Yeah. They've been developing it since 2016, something like that. So it's a long time to be developing it to then sort of bin it off.
And it was like the biggest, well, not biggest, but it was one of the big selling points to differentiate Overwatch 1 from Overwatch 2. Like, Overwatch 2 would be including this story PvE stuff. So I don't know. It kind of feels.
Well, they've said basically that the scope's grown too big, and it's been pulling resources from the live service game.
This is
too much.
This is why it was Overwatch 2. Jeff Kaplan had a vision for it, and obviously the story mode was going to come in. And then around 2019, Blizzard were umming and ahhing about charging to buy it or going free to play for the, like James said, the loot boxes and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. And then Blizzard went above Jeff Kaplan's head and sort of said, yeah, we're going to go free to play, battle pass. And then there was a massive strife within the company. Jeff Kaplan and a load of employees left in 2021 because it wasn't fulfilling their vision. And then a couple of years later, I think it was taken to the next level because of COVID and a lot of people were working at home and it wasn't bringing in the money they needed to. And then they've just like cancelled it, took the resources off, put the team back onto the live service.
Yeah. Well, they did say that even though this hero mode has been cancelled, a lot of PvE content is still on its way. So we have a whole new type of PvE content that we're releasing with our single-player hero mastery missions. So I hope that players can see that we're still committed to PvE and we're doing more with the story than we've ever done before. We're just doing it in a different way than what we originally talked about. So we're still going to see some PvE stuff. Maybe. But
it is.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's all tied to the battle passes. So each season will have a new battle pass, similar to like what Apex does, where you get a little bit of extra content, but all that stuff's going to be locked behind the battle pass like they're doing with the heroes.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
apparently as early as season 6 is when they're saying that story missions will be releasing.
Yeah.
It's been a bit of a weird sort of first kind of few months for Overwatch, because it obviously launched without the PvE stuff, and they kind of masked that up by calling it, the Overwatch 2 beta, not the fully finished game, which it's obviously not. But it's in this kind of like limbo sort of era, this like dead zone where no new content's really being added to it. Because I mean, like Charlie, you've recently started like playing Overwatch, but Connor, Ben, and I, we've played Overwatch for years, and we love the game. And Overwatch 2, it come out, and we dropped it maybe as quickly as we picked it up, because it's just just nothing to it.
Like within a week, we was off of it.
Yeah. And then I don't know what the plan is for that game.
One. Well, I think this might be the main reason they dropped this PvE, because obviously we haven't really noticed much of a difference or any major content drops for Overwatch 2, maybe some heroes here and there, but nothing monumental, nothing like propelling it to new heights. So maybe they have now realized that their biggest problem was spreading their team too thin, making this PvE. So I'm hoping now that they've been big and brave enough to drop the PvE, Overwatch 2 now needs to be propelled to new heights.
Yeah, well, they got to start delivering on the rest of the game then, because if they're saying that, okay, the main reason we're ditching this hero mode is so that we can focus on traditional Overwatch live service content. I mean, we've said this before, I don't have a problem with live service games as long as they keep being updated, they keep being changed, they keep giving you something to come back to. That's completely fine. But yeah, Overwatch's problem since it released is that it's been stuck in that limbo phase where they've had, like they say, split resources, haven't been able to fully develop on one side or another. So yeah, we need to see some serious improvement in the game. If they've completely binned off one of these modes, it's just got to change.
Yeah, like I'd love to see something along the lines of Destiny, where the world changes as events go on, and as new seasons come out, previous places that you once knew and know like the back of your hand are changed and warped or no longer available, and things progress, and you're just playing in the middle of this grander story. Whereas with Overwatch, it just feels like you're playing at static moments of time and nothing changes. It's just Call of Duty maps. But I want to see like a big overarching story that we're playing in. I know it's just a competitive shooter, but how cool would it be if there was a big story and it almost feels like you're part of it, and things progress and change. But I don't know.
I think that plan sort of died when Jeff Kaplan and a lot of the older developers, the senior developers, left at the studio. They had a vision for it, and I think it would have been something similar to what you're talking about, Ben. Like when this was announced, Kaplan talks about it being a sequel like you've never seen before. They had grand visions for it, and obviously it was going to cost money to do. And then I think it was a good studio under a poor business model. Activision, we all know, are very money hungry. That's why it went to the Battle Pass system and free to play. They clearly want the money. They followed what Diablo Immortal did, which was making $2 million a day. And that's what they were chasing. And he's left. A lot of key developers have left. And then Blizzard have taken over. And they're just solely in it for the money.
Yeah. Well, they need to do something, because if they lose this sort of money horse, then it's not good for them.
I think the phrase is cash cow, Ben.
Cash cow. Money horse.
Money horse. No, we can't let that money horse go.
Money horse.
Yeah.
Well,
hopefully that game can turn it around and we can get some decent Overwatch content in the near future. Right, so another interesting news story from this week. The Last of Us multiplayer mode, factions, whatever it's called, has been delayed. I'm not sure how you can delay a game that never had a release date, but nevertheless, it's been delayed. So Bloomberg reported Jason Schreier apparently went in search of answers about Naughty Dog's much discussed but little known revamped multiplayer spin-off game, and he might have accidentally forced Naughty Dog into announcing that the game would be delayed and that the PlayStation Studio were also working on, quote, a brand new single-player experience.
Yeah.
So what's going on there? Connor, you know stuff about this?
So in The Last of Us 1 remastered, there is pictures on a board in the background that players have found, and it got leaked recently that Naughty Dog are working on a new IP, and apparently it's like a fantasy sort of story, something they haven't done before.
Okay.
So that's apparently the new IP that they're working on.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And part of Sony's acquisition with Bungie are now heading or vigorously testing these live service games that Sony are going after. They've just closed down a studio recently because it didn't meet the standards of PlayStation, and that was too far along in development for them to like restart. They got rid of them, and then Bungie came in. They tested this game and said the player engagement isn't good enough. And Bungie get a lot of flack for Destiny, especially recently with like the DLC and that.
Yeah, but it's always in like the top 10
top 10
players
games
at any time.
And Bungie are a bit of a unicorn when it comes to these console-based live service games because no one does the numbers that Bungie do.
Yeah.
And if you look at video games since Destiny released, pretty much every big AAA title has copied something from Destiny of late, even if it's the cursor that moves, the way they do updates online.
So how's this tie into Last of Us?
So Bungie have played it, said it's not where it needs to be.
Yeah.
So PlayStation
The
are now,
multiplayer one.
Yeah,
yeah.
the
So
multiplayer.
Bungie were essentially asked to come in and almost review the stage at which The Last of Us Factions was at, and they said it was just lacking, that they didn't know how it was going to keep players engaged, and as a result of that, Sony or PlayStation have reportedly scaled back the team working on The Last of Us Factions multiplayer, and now no one knows if the game's actually going to be released or not. If the game, go on, Charlie.
So it does make you question, like, if it's already struggling.
Well,
if you're going to scale the team back, it makes you question whether they're actually going to release this game.
The wording of scaled back. If that's a normal studio, it sort of seems like they might be getting. Naughty Dog's massive. They are, from reports that have come out, they're working on 2 other games at the same time. So they might have a small team going on it. They might bring people over from Bungie, which PlayStation studios do a lot. They bring other studios over to work on games. Bungie are clearly big enough now, and PlayStation trusts them. They're probably working on it with them. And I agree with what James said. You can't delay a game that didn't have a release date. So,
but my thoughts of this is like, I'm making sort of strong comparisons in my mind to Redfall. And us almost blaming Xbox for not coming in soon enough and intervening on a project that was obviously doomed to fail.
Yeah.
This seems like Sony have obviously sent in Bungie, I didn't know this, got the feedback, and then was like, okay, go back, restart, let's trim a few people, and I want just the top, I don't know how many people might be working on it. Let's say top 20 people. Let's go back to the drawing board
and see what we can do.
If it wasn't good enough, PlayStation would have shut it down. They're sticklers.
The thing is, like when the news first came out that The Last of Us 2 wasn't going to ship with the multiplayer mode, everyone was kind of gutted about it. And then because The Last of Us 1, the multiplayer mode on The Last of Us 1 was really good. Yeah, it was a really fun aspect of the game. But you know, there's a massive difference between a single player game like The Last of Us, which has a multiplayer mode with it, and a game that is going to standalone release as a multiplayer live service game. That's a completely different type of game. That
it's like Division scale, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's not surprising that this has happened though, because I was reading that Sony and PlayStation, they're looking to push like 60% of their total investment in game development into live service. That's one of the reasons why they've bought Bungie in as a first party developer. And probably why now they're asking Bungie to sort of road test everything that's in development at the moment, because apparently they've got 12 live service titles across PlayStation Studios in active development, including Bungie's Marathon, which was released at the PlayStation Showcase. We'll talk more about that a bit later on.
And Concord as well, which was shown as well.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it looks like that. The thing with live service games the thing with live service games is if you launch the game and you get it wrong, it has got no hope of surviving whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like, people are just going to drop that and they are not going to go back to it.
That's it.
And like, look at Anthem, for example. Anthem was a great example of that. Redfall, a very recent example of that, of a live service game that come out, completely failed out of the gate, and then just never recovered.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's why I think Destiny have become that trusted source for Sony, because the one thing that Destiny has got, players are committed to the game. Even if new content comes out and it's not well received and it's not so bad, people are invested in their characters, they're invested in the money that they've spent. Like, those players are completely hooked for life now. So that's like the most successful model, maybe, possibly, that's out there, because there's no way these players are going to drop their investment.
Already in too deep.
I checked their player count earlier, so this is about 2-3 o'clock, and within the last 15 minutes of me checking, there was 106,000 players on Destiny 2.
Is that across the board or like just PC?
I think it's across. I think it might just be PC. But it's, even then, it's 100,000 players, and then a couple of months ago when Nightfall came out, it was at like 360,000.
The mad thing is that these updates, they release these DLCs for Bungie. Everyone hates them. They get badly reviewed, but their player count does not drop. Like, people just stay playing the game. So yeah, like you quite rightly said, if anyone's going to come in and vet these live service games, Bungie will be the people that you go to kind of do it, because they know how to create a live service game that's got longevity and is sustainable.
Yeah. It's crazy how much of an authority they've become, isn't it?
Yeah.
Will you speak to people in the industry or anyone that's followed games for a lot of time, when they talk about Bungie, like, their eyes glow? That's how revered they are. Bungie,
they're an iconic studio. They're a legendary studio.
Yeah,
they've been doing it for a long, long time, and there's a reason that Sony put like $3.5 billion into them, not even to own them, just to be paired with them.
Yeah.
So
mad.
A question about the Last of Us factions, to go back to that quickly. Do we know what Neil Druckmann's involvement is with this game? Because he's always talking about it. Like, when there is a word to be said about it, he is the guy who's saying this is what we're doing with the multiplayer.
I think he's somewhat connected because he's the head of the studio, so he has to answer these questions, and obviously his name is tied with The Last of Us. He'll be working on the other games that they're working on. And then this will be a smaller team.
Yeah, because
it makes you wonder.
Yeah,
because now that like The Last of Us has expanded into a franchise, if you like, it's he must have involvement. But then again, he might have just approved a project, like, oh, hi, Neil, we want to make a Last of Us multiplayer. Can we get the go-ahead? Yeah, sure thing, no worries. And then that might be his involvement.
Yeah,
because they've got so much material now to reference that they can just need to, I don't know, get a final approval from him. I don't know how it works, to be honest, but...
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because, like, we've heard virtually nothing about this game. We've had a piece of concept art, and... you know, the fact that it's now a live service game. So I assume it's going to be something similar to The Division. That's the thought I had in my mind. Big open world, you know, different kind of factions in there. What was called the Last of Us faction. So yeah. But yeah, we don't know. I mean, until we hear more about it, it's hard to say what state that game's in and what the future of it might hold, because we just have no idea at the moment.
Yeah. I think it suffers
Tell us. Let us know what's going on.
I think if we're going to hear anything, it'll be on June the 14th, which is like the 10th. Anniversary of The Last of Us 1, which makes me feel ancient.
I'm not fucking holding out hope to hear anything about that game.
I think it suffers from, like, you shouldn't have said anything. You should have kept your mouth shut.
They were forced to, because of this Bloomberg report. So it would have just been there in the air, and then people would be going, "Oh, what's going on? What's going on?"
Yeah, in this regard, it is. But I mean, like, even they may be looking back to The Last of Us Part 2. Maybe they should have just said the game's just releasing as a single player game. That's it, and then just dropped multiplayer factions MMO later on.
Until you're ready. Yeah. Anyway,
well, I mean, you know, a couple of sort of big news stories about cancellations and delays. It's always interesting to sort of get into what's been going on with these games and why they may have been delayed. But, you know, sticking with PlayStation, let's move on to the next topic, PlayStation Showcase. So we had the PlayStation Showcase last week. or well, 2 weeks ago, if you listen to this on the release day, we saw a bunch of announcements, a few surprises, and confirmation of some other things. And we thought we'd basically just go through it and talk about it. It's quite nice, actually, as we've been pretty heavy on the Xbox stuff recently. And just to be clear, this is not an Xbox podcast. It just so happens that Xbox are always doing something fucking stupid. So we always end up talking about it and whinging about it. But not today. Today is about PlayStation. We're going to celebrate the games that PlayStation have announced, the PlayStation exclusives that they've announced at their showcase. We're all looking forward to it. So let's go through the list then and see what games PlayStation has announced that are exclusive to their great next-gen console.
Give me the long list.
Right, so anyway, I thought we would actually literally just go through the list. Let's just go through the list of games and we'll just talk about them.
A quick,
I've got a little list here. I kind of started in order that they were shown in, but then I sort of just started listing the ones that I found interesting. So it might not be in order completely to what the showcase is.
No worries.
But the first game we saw was a brand new PvPvE heist game by a PlayStation-owned studio headed by former EA and Ubisoft alumnus Jade Raymond. And that game is Fair Games. It looked a lot like the finals.
Yeah,
it didn't it? And like Payday.
Yeah.
And anything like that.
It looked like a Ubisoft game.
Yeah, but obviously we only saw cinematic, so it's really hard to
judge what the actual gameplay is going to be like. But
yeah,
it did kind of intrigue me though. From the cinematics, I don't think it looks bad. I think it's interesting that it's like, because I also got like Payday vibes, given it's like a heist game. But the fact that it's going to be PvP and you're going to be competing to get whatever the loot is.
Yeah. So my only thought about this game and about similar games to this is that I played the finals. The finals is a fucking great game, and everyone else has got such a high bar to meet, in my opinion. I thought the finals was fantastic, and I cannot wait for that game to come out. It's frantic, fast-paced. You have to use your brain a lot in a lot of situations. It's not just like run and gun. It's so good. Team play, everything. So yeah, looking at Fair Games, I like the concept. Obviously, I enjoyed the finals. So I'm interested to see.
Yeah, the strongest comparison I've got is Hyenas. It was that PvEVP heist game. Yeah. And even though that was only in an alpha, I'm feeling that that's going to be the strongest comparison between the two. They seem very rooted in the very similar premise.
Yeah. So that game I think is coming to PS5 and PC. Is it coming to Xbox as well? All platforms?
I didn't see anything confirmed about that. I just see PS5 and PC.
Yeah. Well, that's been developed by Haven Studio. So yeah, no release date for that one. Another CGI trailer. Great start. So the next game we saw was Foam Stars, which was like this Splatoon-inspired 4v4 third-person shooter. And admittedly, I thought it looked kind of goofy when I saw it, but by the end of the trailer, I actually wanted to play it.
Yeah, I kind of did too.
Yeah, I did as well.
I did.
I feel like we'd be sick here.
Fucking mental.
I feel like if I played that game, I would just be so good.
I rolled. I rolled and thought, oh my god, this is just Square Enix trying to make Splatoon. And then I watched it and I thought, that looks like it could be quite fun.
But I want to play it just because, like, you know, when you look at a game, you think, what's the point in this game even existing? I need to try it. Like that was literally my thought process.
I don't think I watched the same trailer as you guys. I thought it looked like a steaming.
You just weren't into it.
You're just boring.
You just play these tactical shooters, and that's all you play with these sort of games. Have some fun in your life, Charlie. Get some colours.
I play Mill Sims.
Doesn't look fun.
I bet it is.
Okay, actually, that's a lie. It does look fun.
Oh,
but I do not see any longevity in it.
If it had a headshot only,
do you know what?
A couple of rounds, and then that game's in the bin.
I completely agree with that. Actually, I think this game is going to come and go so fast. I think
it's going to be a live service.
It's going to die like straight away.
It's got to be a live service game. There's no way they're charging for that.
So yeah,
that's
it doesn't graphically look great. I just think it.
There was a game I played years ago. It was like this neon Tron frisbee thing. Like, it sounds proper rubbish, but when you played it, it was super fun, super fun. The problem was it had like a month expiry date. Like, everyone who played it really enjoyed it, and then they would never come back. So I feel like
the
this
pure
could
definition of like one and done.
Yeah, but I think this is just a PlayStation 5 exclusive, isn't it? I couldn't see Foam Stars. Oh yeah. But
so PlayStation exclusive
coming.
as far as I'm aware. So no PC, I don't think, and no
I couldn't
Xbox.
see PC for it.
I would have played it if it was free to play on PC.
Yeah, same. Well, that's being developed by Square Enix. So yeah, next up on the list, the Metal Gear Solid Collection, or was it called the Metal Gear Solid Remastered Volume 1 or something like that? So straight away that alludes to the fact that there will be a Volume 2 at some point, I guess. The one thing about this that I was upset about, the PC release date has not been confirmed to my knowledge. I don't know if it is coming to PC. I think it's just PS5.
No, I saw that it was coming to PC. I can't verify my sources now.
The next game on the list is Metal Gear Solid 3, the Snake Eater remake, which is coming to PS.
Everything.
Coming to everything.
I see.
The remastered collection is not coming to everything. It's just the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake that's coming.
I see. Yes, it's the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection.
Yeah.
Oh, right, I get it now. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is gutting because I would just love to play.
Yeah.
I'd love to play Metal Gear Solid 2 again. I love that game.
The original Metal Gear Solid 2 is available to play on GOG on PC, but that's it. That's the only one. There's no other.
But I like the sound of like playing a remastered version of that game. Give it to me.
I'd love to.
So we got that coming, and we've got a Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, which I don't think I played Metal Gear Solid 3, so I'm hyped to check that out.
Phantom Pain was my first Metal Gear.
Yeah,
if you believe.
You're a baby.
I don't believe. That's impossible.
3's good. 3's really good. 2's better.
Yeah, isn't it? 3's regardless one of the best ones, if not the best Metal Gear Solid, isn't it? Number 3.
Do you think there's any involvement with Mr. Kojima?
No, not a chance.
Absolutely not. They treated him like shit, Konami. In his whole exit was like, he was being forced to they moved his office to like a different floor in the studio at the headquarters. And he wasn't allowed to talk to team members directly when at the end, like towards the end of Metal Gear Solid 5 production, he wasn't allowed to talk to team members directly. He had to go through like a third party person who then obviously wouldn't tell the people what he wanted to tell them. They'd just be like, nah, fuck that.
It would only happen if
it was so bad.
It only happens if PlayStation bought Konami, then they'd own the IP and then they could just give it to Kojima. But
I will not hold your breath on another Metal Gear Solid game headed by Hideo Kojima. It's just not happening.
It's just going to be remakes until they've done them all, and then
Konami will be cheeky enough to try and make like a Metal Gear Solid 6.
Well, they did Metal Gear Survive, and that was awful.
That was a pile of shit. So
don't touch.
That's how that story went.
Just remaster them and leave it.
Did you ever play that Survive? Oh,
sacrilege.
I didn't.
Right.
Anyway.
So that's Metal Gear Solid. So next up, Marathon, a really old IP from Bungie from the early 90s, which I think launched on Mac originally.
Yeah.
So weird, but so they're bringing back an old IP. I don't know anything about Marathon whatsoever. So someone please fill us in.
I've done a bit of digging on it.
Go ahead, Charles.
Jack Frags actually released a video based from information that after this trailer dropped. Bungie released like a behind the scenes kind of video, so all of the information Jack Frags has got is from that. But allegedly it's a PvP extraction game.
Okay.
It's going to be PS5, Xbox X and S, and PC with crossplay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Interesting.
Other than that, I don't have too much information.
Okay.
I loved the art style. Like, absolutely through and through. As soon as I saw that girl with that quirky sniper with a sort of cybernetic bottom lip and white makeup and just all of it was like, this looks fucking sick.
Yeah. So I'm interested to see more of that. That's another live service game that PlayStation are kind of like helping to get sort of out there. But that's coming to all platforms, I believe, next gen and PC. So
it's set in the same world as Halo and Destiny as well.
No way.
All of Bungie's games are set in the same universe.
I never knew that.
Mad. Right, cool. So looking forward to that. We don't know anything about the game apart from it's just been announced and that's it. So next up on the list, a game that we've all played that I'm sure we're looking forward to the sequel of, Spider-Man 2 by Insomniac, coming fall 2023. Looks amazing. Kraven the Hunter is the main antagonist. The symbiote can play as Miles and Peter. Looks like a grittier, more sort of mature story. Peter looks angry. I loved what I saw. Thoughts?
It looked awesome.
It looked
really good.
Yeah, I don't want to start with a negative. I thought the trailer was maybe quite what's it called when you need to press A? Press X.
Oh, quick time.
Yeah, I thought it was maybe a bit of quick time heavy, but I feel like it was just like a really, really exciting part for them to showcase. So I don't actually look at that too negatively.
Yeah.
But from the moment that he freaking slingshotted himself off that roof and was like wingsuiting it, and the combat looked sick, like I'm gutted I won't be able to play this for maybe a good year after its release.
Yeah.
If it comes to PC.
It will come to PC eventually. I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will. Because they're quite
how long you have to wait.
Yeah, you might be waiting a little while, maybe a year, maybe 18 months, but it will definitely come to PC at some point.
But it was definitely the big star, wasn't it, of the whole showcase.
I think that's why they're having a showcase at all. Was just to show Spider-Man off.
Yeah. It looked good. I mean, fair enough. If you want to do a whole showcase to show Spider-Man.
Glad they're bringing Miles into it more as well. I think that's a good chance.
Well, it would be weird. It'd be weird if he wasn't in it at least as a side character, because you play a whole kind of game as him in the same place.
The Miles Morales one.
And the map is now like the whole of New York. So that game's
not just Manhattan Island. It's like on Long Island and like the surrounding area, so you can actually swing across the bridge, which would be quite fun, I imagine. Right, so next up, a game I think we're all very hyped for, but scared at the thought of playing, Alan Wake 2. Remedy, 17th of October, all footage captured on PS5. Looks amazing.
I think that's my
good.
game
Really
of show.
A proper story game, doesn't it? It looks like you'll be sat down and experiencing a brilliant story.
Fully engrossed.
Yeah.
And like the gameplay kind of gives me Last of Us vibes.
And also, that over the shoulder sort of close, kind of perspective.
Like it's one that
it looks like a season of True Detective, and I'm
we were saying we did a reaction video to the trailer on our YouTube channel. Just go check that out. And Connor brought up it. I said it felt really cinematic, and Connor quite rightly said, you read my mind and said, yeah, True Detective. You're getting those sort of like real kind of deep, mysterious, almost it is supernatural, otherworldly kind of vibes to it. It was just ticking all the boxes for me. Like every single box from what I want to see in a piece of story-driven content was like tick, 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 tick. So very much looking forward to that.
And I'm still wondering if there's any strong connections to Control. Like I'd love to see some reference to what the big bad guy's called.
There'll be a reference to Control 2 in there somewhere.
Yeah, because
Remedy are making Control 2, aren't they?
Remedy are just on an absolute tear at the moment.
They can do what they want. They can do no wrong. So very excited for Alan Wake 2. Not a lot to say about it apart from release the hype engine.
17th of October. Yeah.
17th of October. Just in time for Halloween.
Perfect.
Right, next up on the list, Assassin's Creed.
Just before we move on.
Okay.
So I was just going to say, I've not played the first Alan Wake, but currently on the Epic Store, it's 60% off for the remastered.
Oh, nice.
Of the Alan Wake.
Very nice.
And that deal runs until the 15th of next month. So
perfect.
If anyone wants to grab it,
I will be picking that up,
I think.
Place.
I think
it's
I will.
£10, but I think definitely worth it.
No-brainer, in it. I mean, with the second one coming out this year, you're obliged to play the first one, I suppose.
I haven't just loaded up Epic.
Ben, we're working. Stop that.
Sorry.
Right, so moving on. Assassin's Creed Mirage, Ubisoft game, the next in line of their seemingly endless franchise. 12th of October. Supposedly a back to basics Assassin's Creed. Looks more like it has a lot of the action parkour stuff from the sort of first few Assassin's Creeds.
Yeah.
Not going to be anywhere near as big as Odyssey or Valhalla. It's literally a scaled back, tight experience, supposedly, which I'm quite looking forward to, actually.
I'm surprisingly interested.
I'm feeling really enthusiastic about this one. Like from what we saw in the trailer, and they showed quite a lot, which was quite nice. But the combat looked good, the city looked great.
I thought I was out, and then they showed that off, and I was like, "That looks like AC1." I'm well up for that.
Yeah, because it's weird because when you think back to Assassin's Creed, I mean, I know a lot of people they love the second one with Ezio. You know, it is a great game, but when I think about Assassin's Creed, I think of the first game with Altair and being set in the Middle East, and like I really love that they're kind of taking it back. Where's it set? Is it Baghdad or something? Is it set in Baghdad?
Baghdad,
I think so,
Like 900 BC or something. But so I'm really looking forward to it being back in that setting again.
And we questioned that the man's name Basim was familiar. He's like a prominent character in Valhalla. For those of you who have played Valhalla. Yeah. We were like, do you know what? Is he from the first one?
Yeah, it's funny because you mentioned that, and I do recognise his name, but now you said in Valhalla, because I've played a bit of Valhalla, but to be fair, it was a solid. I don't want to give it a score, but it weren't good.
Yeah, it was. Apparently, this game's set 20 years before Valhalla. So
awesome. Right, cool. Right, so there's a couple of more games that we found sort of like quite interesting, and we just sort of go through those. Phantom Blade. So this was that samurai game that got quite a lengthy sort of, you know, showing. Graphically looked pretty good. The combat looked interesting. I'm not really sure what to make of it though. What do we think about this one?
It looks like it's all Q2Es and scripted, but it's giving me anime protagonist vibes, and I'm fucking all over that.
Yeah, it was definitely making me
scripted,
think.
Didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Like, how were my inputs going to make that happen? How am I going to be doing what this trailer looks like I can do and make it organically? Or is it like pressing buttons at certain times? I don't think it is.
It looks like a Souls-like anime, and I've just take my money.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It just resonated.
Yeah, it did look good.
Hit the spot.
But I've not played Ghost of Tsushima, so I can't make any comparisons there. Yeah, but I feel like
it seems a lot quicker. They seem like Sekiro quick.
Yeah, I was going to say Sekiro next.
Sekiro's good.
It's on my list. It's not top of my list, but I'm intrigued.
Charlie, what did you think about that one?
Not too fussed about it.
No, I wasn't too fussed by it.
For me, I don't know. It looks very fast paced, and I'm not really that bothered about it. But I did do a bit of extra research on it. Apparently, it's a 30 to 40 hour story, and then there'll be side missions, and there's also going to be a multiplayer.
Really?
With like a semi-open world. So,
okay,
it could be
multiplayer
right,
PvP, or like you and a friend will be teaming up.
Sure.
I hope it's 66 hours long, like it says in the chat. That would be meta.
Yeah, that'd be sick. And if you don't manage to do all the objectives in 66, yes, game over. Got to start.
No release date on that, I don't think.
No, I don't
it's going to
think
be PS5 and PC only.
Is that? Do we know if that's a PS5 exclusive, or is it like a timed exclusive?
Don't know.
It
says
like
PS5 and PC, so I don't know whether it's.
Oh, interesting. Right, okay, so a couple of games. Ben, I know you're excited for this one, Helldivers 2.
So Helldivers 2. So for those of you out there who know about Helldivers 1, this Helldivers 2 is completely different by the looks of it. Same setting, same fighting enemies, same like 4-player co-op, but the first one was like a top-down isometric style kind of game, whereas this one's a third-person, over-the-shoulder, and it looked really good. Because of how my fond memories of the first one, I have like strong hope that this one will be better.
It looked
and more visceral, and
I just wasn't liking like the vibe, how sort of it tried to be funny, but it ended up just coming across as really corny.
The problem with that trailer is it was aimed at people that played the first one. They haven't made it more worldwide appeal.
Yeah,
they're targeting the players that love the first one.
Yeah, because that was the thing. The first one had
what you know type thing.
Yeah, the first game definitely had like, have you played this game? It's sick. So I can see why that would be a strong position to sort of rely on. We have players who love the first game. Let's target them. So
yeah.
I feel like I'm being very like negative about a lot of these games, but I just thought it was, to me, it just looked a bit boring, like unimaginative. Like from what we've seen,
that's like the worst thing you can say about a game is unimaginative and boring. Like you can't say anything worse than that.
I think you'd like Helldivers, Charlie, because it's like notoriously hard.
It looks like you're just shooting wave after wave of aliens.
Yeah,
but there's so many games out there that we play that's kind of a similar kind of.
Yeah, but a 9 out of 10 of them are shit.
But I suppose it's one of those games that I feel like you need. It's probably a game to be played rather than watched.
Yeah, actually, I would agree with that. It didn't look like an interesting game, but I'm sure if you played it, it would give you more than what you sort of get out of it just by looking at it.
Yeah, there might be more to it than just shooting aliens, but I didn't see any more than that.
So, another game that I actually really like the look of, I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce this correctly, Towers of Agazba, which looks like Avatar the game.
Avatar, yeah.
I mean, I was really feeling that trailer. I thought that looked so good. I mean, I love like sort of resource building, city builders, or whatever you want to call them, survival games. And yeah, it just looked really good. Like when she started popping up fucking buildings and shit and jumping on the back of those big flying alien whale things, I was like, man, that looks good. I was sold on that. I like the look of that game.
It's almost like a Breath of the Wild-ish meets like an Avatar, meets maybe like a game like Rust where you can build
or Valheim
your own,
or something.
Or Valheim, yeah.
Just ticks all the boxes. That game looks class.
Yeah. It looks like, I feel like it's going to be a wholesome game.
Yeah.
Like, I think that the whole idea is that you're restoring this former great land to what it used to be.
And the whole thing
got,
of like
balance, like the villages with the ecosystem, and like it looks cool. Apparently you can show off your unique world to your friends, so I don't know whether that means they can come and visit your
you can.
creation or
so
what.
You can invite people to your world to come and chill, but you can also play 4-player co-op, explore, fight, create.
Oh, wicked.
So,
okay.
Awesome. What's on that day one?
Could be one to watch.
Yeah. Awesome. Game for you, Charlie, that you like the look of, the Plucky Spire.
Yeah, I thought
so. This is like the Little Big
really
Planet
cool
style kind of platformer. It looked good.
It's a really interesting blend of like the 2D where you're in the storybook and then you can leave the pages and it's 3D. Yeah, I just thought.
So I mean, what you said earlier about Helldivers being kind of unimaginative, this looks very imaginative and very sort of creative, like the complete opposite.
Yeah.
I
it's
feel
giving me like. Sorry, Charlie, I know this is your bit.
No.
I was going to say, it's giving me like Little Big Planet vibes. A little bit of a spin on what made Little Big Planet great, like a small little avatar in a creative, fun, imaginative world. And
yeah, I just think it'd be like just a nice little fun adventure game.
Yeah.
That you don't have to stress over.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it looked like a chill game. I mean, I'm definitely looking forward to playing that because I love those types of games. I love platformers as well. It just looks like a nice, relaxing kind of co-op experience. I mean, I hope it's co-op. It should be. It looks like it should be. Right, what have we got next then? Oh, interesting one. Teardown coming to console. I remember when Teardown came out and it was like the RTX showcase game. Yeah. It was years ago. So it's kind of like, for us PC players, it's like, yeah, we've been there and done that, mate. We've seen that game. We know what it's about.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's coming to console. Now, I guess that's a testament to the consoles now being powerful enough to run a game like Teardown.
I remember when the first time I saw it, I thought like maybe this is another type of game where it's probably better to play it than it is to watch it. Because when I watched it, I was like, oh, cool, the destruction's cool, but isn't it going to get a bit boring? Not boring. Isn't it going to get a bit samey a bit quick? Like, oh, what other holes can I put in other buildings and whatnot? But I know there's this whole heist element to it and whatnot. But yeah. I could have just skipped past that bit.
I mean, it looked okay. I mean, we're all familiar with Teardown with PC gamers. It was big when it comes to sort of PC, and everyone was like, "Oh fucking hell!"
Everyone that I know that's played
smoke,
it,
RTX, real-time physics.
Apparently, it's like a fantastic game. So,
maybe I need to give it a go then.
I think I'm gonna give it a go at some point as well.
Yeah, a couple of other big games, I guess, before we sort of rack off the rest of the stuff that was there. So we saw another trailer for Immortals of Avium. Still looks cheesy as fuck.
Yeah,
I don't know how to feel about this game.
It looks like Too Human with new graphics, and I'm just not into it.
I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I want to play it, but I'm not excited for it. It's not a pre-order. It's definitely a wait until it's on sale. But I want to. I
think it's got like I think it looks interesting from the perspective of like it's magic that's kind of used like guns almost, like you're shooting
it's like FPS magic.
Yeah, it's got some interesting elements to it, but I do not like anything I've seen so far in terms of the characters The characters look fucking terrible, and they look cheesy, and like these crappy little one-liners. They look generic, and I'm just not feeling that side of it at all. And if it's meant to be a single-player story game, I don't see myself kind of giving it a time of day unless I don't know, unless it comes on sale and I maybe pick it out for like a tenner or something. But
it's a very, very like American drama-esque, isn't it?
I'll wait for it to be on Game Pass.
Yeah, well, it might do, wouldn't it? With being EA,
yeah, maybe. Destiny 2, the final shape. I don't know if this is like the final major expansion before they maybe release a Destiny 3. That's not like been rumored or anything. That's just me speculating. Cade is back somehow.
Bitches.
What happened to him? How did he get back?
I think it's going to be some time loop thing, isn't it? It's got to be.
So. Cade's a beast.
But as we said earlier, this DLC will probably come out. It'll probably get badly reviewed, but the players won't care and they'll play it anyway.
Cade's back.
Cade's come back. The numbers are going to double.
Yeah.
People are happy. He's back.
Yeah.
I think,
go on, Ben.
I was just going to say, if you weren't going to mention it, I watched a streamer react to the PlayStation event, and when Dragon's Dogma 2 was announced, he and all of the chat were like going nuts, and I was like, have I missed something? Because I'd never even heard of Dragon's Dogma.
I've never played it.
Yeah, I've never played it, never heard of it. I've looked it up and watched a bit of it, and it looks all right. Like, I'd like to give it a go, but this streamer was literally saying like, cool, this event's good. Like, Dragon's Dogma has been announced. Like, cool, this is a win for me. And I was like, it must have like, well, there's obviously a reason for it, but so yeah.
Right, so we just list off like the rest of the games that were sort of shown off. We start with the VR stuff. So Resident Evil 4 VR looked cool, I guess. Arizona Sunshine, kind of a zombie slaying kind of Dead Island type thing.
Yeah.
Crossfire Sierra Squad, is that Crossfire as in the shooter Crossfire?
I think it must be, right?
It's got to be. Yeah.
Shooter, same name.
Yeah, military sword shooter. Another shooter called, was it Shooter Synapse, which looks strangely interesting. And Beat Saber. I mean, I've never tried VR, and I don't ever see myself investing in VR gaming whatsoever.
Yeah.
Thoughts? Or no thoughts whatsoever, and just move straight on. Okay, cool. A few other games. Cat Quest. Never.
That's just a mobile game.
Pirates
of the Caribbean, mate.
Pirates of the Caribbean.
Got to just be
I'm
going to
platinum that,
surely.
Yeah. Sword of the Sea. If any of these games you like the look of, like, just stop me and we'll talk about them.
I think that looks really interesting. People that make Journey.
Is that the Journey one?
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
Oh yeah.
I didn't really get what it was.
If you
I don't mean this in like a negative way.
No.
It looks like a Switch game.
Well, if you
not a PlayStation.
If you ever get the chance to play Journey, you'll get what Sword of the Sea is. Journey's a great game.
It's hard to describe, but they're like really emotional sort of single player games.
It's very sort of like philosophical, kind of like, self-reflective and there's not really much to say about the game. It's like there's no real kind of combat or anything in the game. I don't know. They're strange games, but very sort of like thought-provoking.
Called Flower years and years ago.
No.
I'm wondering if you had played that might have informed you a bit more.
Oh, okay.
But just imagine you'll be traveling from A to B and there'll be a story. You know the reason you like that Under the Waves one, where it's like there's not going to be much combat. There's not. And Firewatch. Yeah. It's a narrative story, so you'll be progressing from one place to another. You'll probably discover some ancient history that's quite.
You'll learn about like the people and the civilization and stuff, and like maybe some great event that happened where the people are now. I don't know anything about the story of Sword of the Sea, and I could barely describe the story of Journey to you. But Journey, like its namesake, it is a great sort of experience. It's a journey. You go on it and you kind of feel stuff. That's the only way you can really describe it.
Well, a game that sort of I think got lost in that crossfire there, which you did mention, Never. That really grabbed me because I think mainly for the art style. The one.
Oh, was it the one that looked like it was like painted?
And I just thought it looked really intriguing and like emotional as well. So like I want to see more of that.
That's from the people that made Gris, isn't it?
Well, yeah, because I've actually from the back of this I've downloaded Gris. I haven't played it yet.
Really
I want want to get through that.
Yeah, Gris is
but apparently it's going to be a blend of action, cinematics, puzzles, combat, and platforming.
Wicked.
So I think it'll be one to watch.
Yeah, awesome. Right, and then so just to round off the shows, to round off the games that we saw at the showcase, Revenant Hill, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. I can't remember what that was. Street Fighter 6 looked pretty cool. Ultros, Ghost Runner 2, Tower of Fantasy, Five Nights at Freddy's, Help Wanted 2, and then they showed the Gran Turismo movie, which looks fucking cack.
Yeah. I once again, when I was watching the streamer and it got to the car bit, the chat on the stream were hilarious. Everyone was just doing like snoring faces, and
I heard Orlando Bloom's voice during that, but I thought I recognised that voice. And I see him, and he sounds like he's just phoning that fucking performance in. It sounded awful.
He's getting that payday, and that's it. He wants his check and he's gone.
Oh, he's driving a car. That's all right, mate.
Yeah. And just to round out the PlayStation showcase, couple of interesting hardware announcements. We'll start with the PlayStation earbuds because they're just earbuds. Apparently, you can connect them to your PC and your PlayStation at the same time. They're literally just earbuds. There's
I
not
really
much to
didn't
say
get
about
it. They're
that.
trying to sell Bluetooth as if it's some fucking
new,
magic new invention.
It's new.
Oh yeah, they seamlessly connect with Bluetooth. It's like, well, yeah, every headphone that's Bluetooth does.
Yeah. That's a good point.
And also, I'm not being funny. I don't want to be cutting around with PlayStation logo in my ear.
I'd lose them so quickly.
Not bothered. Unless they're amazing and not extortionate.
But how good is the sound quality going to be on those? Like, is it going to be rivaling like Sennheiser or Bose or whoever else makes these kind of $300 earbuds? Probably not.
But then,
because it's just for gamers.
Exactly.
But then if their strategy was that you'd be using, because we obviously haven't covered the device yet, so we'll get to that, the handheld one. But I'm thinking, should we get to the device now? Because that will time.
Let's talk about it now. So Project Q, a handheld device which allows remote play with the PS5 console over Wi-Fi. Looks awful. Design is lazy. Whole thing is kind of pointless. It's not cloud gaming. You need a PS5 to use it.
Yeah. So if they're then trying to upsell you with these wireless earbuds, it's not as if you're going to be taking them out on the train or taking them to the park or those earbuds will be used inside. Like,
well, yeah, they're trying to make it so. Oh yeah, you can pair Project Q with our new wireless earbuds. Take it on the train. You won't be able to use the Project Q, but you can still use your earbuds.
That's it.
Do you know what I think this machine is? It's so you can play PlayStation whilst you're having a shit.
Yeah,
that's the only use I can think for it. Other than that, if your PlayStation's got to be on to use it, why not just play on the PlayStation?
Yeah. So, I mean, just to be clear, like you have to have a PlayStation 5. You have to be connected to the same Wi-Fi. The device itself has like little to no actual hardware in it. It's just a screen with half a controller at either end, and that is it.
And you have to own all the games. It's not like you're getting access to games that you can stream.
James and I spoke about this briefly. Sorry, James. I was just going to say that the only way I see this device doing well is if it's cheap. Not like dirt cheap. I'm thinking like, what did you say? Like 129
It's got to be. It has to be 100 under 150. Like I think at 129 you could probably get away with it.
Shift a few.
But
units,
over 150, it raises a few eyebrows. 200 and above, no fucking chance.
No way.
There's no chance.
I don't see the use for it. There might be certain people where, as I know, you've got it on your living room TV and you want to play.
Yeah, if you've only got like one telly in the
someone
house,
wants to watch TV.
Yeah,
but realistically, I think
just share.
I don't know. Yeah,
just share the TV.
And plus, as well, like I've tried. Steam have got their own like Steam Dock thing where you can plug it into your TV in a different room, stream your games from your PC to your TV, and connect your controller straight to the Steam device. Completely hardwired, mind you. And even then, you get like stream delay, stream lag, and that's like complete from hardwired PC to your router to the Steam device, and even then you'll still get like delay and lag and intermittent connection. So this thing's using Wi-Fi. I just don't get it.
Yeah, it seems like a little bit of a. it's a half-assed attempt to get back into the handheld game. I don't think Sony wanted to fully invest in like developing a piece of hardware that could run games remotely.
Because
PSP why bother with this if you're not going to make a PSP 2 or whatever, which we've seen with the Switch. If it's powerful enough, it's going to sell fucking units.
Yeah,
there's a lot of clamour for a PSP, like some sort of
PSP was incredible.
PSP. So
I think the only thing that might be a problem with a PSP is no current PlayStation 5 games would be able to run on a PSP of any kind. So you'd have to do what PSP did back in the day, where they has got specific games.
You'd have to develop games for it. But if it looked similar to like a PS4 or a Switch, and you're looking, I'm not necessarily, it will sell in Europe, it will sell in North America, but predominantly in Asia, they play handheld devices like phones, Switch. They do gangbuster numbers over there.
Yeah.
I just hate the design. I think it looks so bad.
Looks like a DualSense with your phone just sellotaped
it looks like
they've
just cut a DualSense controller in half and just stuck it on the side of a large phone. It looks terrible. It's so lazy, and I kind of feel like it is a little bit of a cash grab.
Yeah. Imagine if there was a feature.
When I first saw it, if it was going to be, sorry Ben, whether it was just going to be the handles and it's just your phone.
It looks like one of those bootleg things that you pull out and you've got your phone in the middle and it clips on.
I mean, it's anyway, it's kind of a fucking pointless device. So I mean, well, that was the showcase. They were most of the games announced. I think we might have missed off one or two.
I think we missed Final Fantasy. I don't know if we mentioned that.
Oh, how could we forget? Final Fantasy, is it 16?
16.
Yeah.
Okay. Final Fantasy. That comes out soon, doesn't it?
Next month, June 16th.
I'm not really a Final Fantasy kind of
I've never really played them.
I don't really know anything about the game. I don't really know what Final Fantasy 16 looks like. So, yeah. Well, generally, what did we think of the showcase? I mean, there's this whole kind of... There's a bit of uproar on Twitter at the moment that people just think it was shit and pointless, and like, where's all the first-party PlayStation games? What does the exclusive PlayStation 5 roadmap look like? Because they didn't show really anything in that regard.
Yeah.
And, Xbox have got their big showcase next month. So does it open the door for them to come in and fucking set the place on fire?
It's maybe weird because I think this was just thrown together by Sony. I thought it was a good games showcase. It wasn't a good PlayStation showcase.
This could have been a showcase for just games in general. This could have been
a third-party showcase.
Yeah, this wasn't a PlayStation showcase. It
could have been like an hour at the Summer Games Fest or something.
Yeah,
it literally, like, them sticking PlayStation on the title made little difference to it.
It actually made it worse for them, I think.
Yeah.
Like almost every one of those games coming to other consoles.
It's confusing because I think they could have just called it a state of play. But then also, I don't feel bad for Sony because they're a multi-billion-dollar studio. But they've gone, we've got a showcase in a couple of weeks. And then the internet's gone, oh my God, they're going to show everything. And Sony said literally what they've showed. There's a couple of third-party games, there's a couple of PlayStation. And they've done what they've said on the tin. But everyone's like, where's Bloodborne? You said this. It's like
Death Stranding 2.
Death Stranding 2 will be showed at Summer Games Fest because of his partnership with Jeff Keighley.
But I think that's kind of that's all in a strange way. I guess that's kind of PlayStation's own fault because they've set such a high bar for themselves in terms of the quality of the games that they make. No doubt about that. So if they say, we're doing a showcase, everyone just loses their minds and thinks, fucking hell, what are we going to get? We're going to get so much. We're going to be eating good. We're going to get everything.
It's been 2 years since we've seen Sony as well. So I think it was a little bit tone deaf on their part. But I wouldn't be surprised if they have a showcase maybe February, early next year. Even if it's... All I wanted from Sony was do you know what Marvel do at the beginning of their phase? It could have been a screenshot said, this is coming 2024, this is coming in 2025. We'll show a bit of Concord, we'll show a bit of Marathon, and then we'll update you. And then I'll be like, oh, okay. But it's like, we don't know what Bend are doing. We don't know what Naughty Dog are doing. We don't know what Santa Monica got. I know it's early on. We don't know what majority of these studios are doing now.
Yeah.
And the problem is now with games development is Xbox have had this issue. PlayStation have got this issue. I think AAA games now take 6 to 8 years to make. So if we don't... Yeah. And they're not $50 million anymore. They're $200, $300 million projects.
They got fucking Hollywood blockbuster budgets.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
It's like Ben's last game obviously being...
Days Gone.
Days Gone, I think that came out in like 2019. So you think like, oh, surely we must hear something from them. But then, like you said, it takes 5-6 years to produce a game now. So they're probably well in development, but nowhere near the finish line. So
I think the AAA gaming space is in a bad spot as it is. And I think this highlights it because Xbox are going to put on a good showcase. They always do. And I think a lot of Xbox fans have celebrated this. And I think after the year they've had, I can understand why. They've been shout on for like 18 months now.
Yeah.
And they're talking about mind share and all this nonsense. If Xbox have a good showcase, I'd keep Phil Spencer away from that fucking stage. And then they show all these games, but the problem with Xbox is they're going to come out on this date and they don't. And
well, hopefully they learn from that. Hopefully they learn from that, because that was not to sort of go back to Xbox too much, but that was one of the big things from the last
previous
year.
Showcases.
They did that showcase last year and said everything you see today is going to release within 12 months, and like 80% of it is not released. So that's obviously a problem. They can't keep doing that, and I think they would have learned from that.
I think PlayStation have learned from that. They're such sticklers for production value. Even I wasn't a massive fan of the pacing of the show, but they've got these lights going off. It's PlayStation every 3 minutes.
Yeah,
they set these standards through the roof, 8 or above, or we're not putting it out.
Yeah.
So they're clearly not ready to show anything, but I wouldn't be surprised. Xbox they have a good little run with their showcase, and I'm looking forward to their showcase. I'm not shitting on Xbox. I want them to do well, because if they do well, Sony do well. Games industry is incredible.
We eat good.
We eat good. But if Sony come out in February and do a state of play and go, by the way, this is coming in 2024, this is coming in 2024, this is coming in 2024, this is out in 2025, then all of a sudden people are going, oh, Sony are doing really well. It's just changes overnight. It was a bad showcase for them, but in 6 months it's not going to matter. Spider-Man 2 is going to come out, do mega numbers.
But it's making me think now, like when it's Xbox's turn at their showcase, was PlayStation's strategy just purely a numbers game? I know a lot of these games aren't coming, but a lot of these games PlayStation have now shown us. So now when it's Xbox's turn, are we going to see some of these games again?
Oh, because 100%. Probably.
Yeah, because there can't possibly be many more games on the way.
I thought... Yeah, you'll see a lot more from first party
from exclusives. Yeah,
I think you'll see like 10 minutes of Forza. You'll see, obviously, you've got the Starfield Direct to be about an hour of cut footage from that, and then it will be a lot of these games. I was very surprised that Ubisoft showed off Assassin's Creed when they've got their own event coming up soon, and games like this.
Yeah, but maybe in that regard, maybe Ubisoft kind of saw it as this is like a bit of a primer for us. We'll show a bit of Mirage here, then we'll go into it in more detail in our own event.
Yeah,
because they might think, okay, if we show it at PlayStation, they know that everyone's going to be watching the PlayStation showcase. Eyes are going to be on their game. Then, if like us, we all had quite a positive response to Mirage, I will watch the Ubisoft showcase just to see more of that game. So maybe that's their tactics.
Because obviously Ubisoft haven't been they've been the fans love at the minute
for years.
Yeah. So if they can kind of like you said, piggyback on this show.
Yeah. There's always been this gripe with Sony with these smaller developers that they don't show these games off at these events. They'll do it through blog posts. They're very different to Xbox, where Xbox this is all coming out. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. PlayStation used to just put it on blogs, so I think it's good for them to show off these games like the Plucky Squires made by Devolver, who are an incredible publisher. Yeah, and they're showing off these little games, but there is that feeling. I got to like 40 minutes through, and I thought, "Fucking hell, we're gonna have like 40 minutes of PlayStation games, like boom, 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 boom." And it's like Jim Ryan pops up on the screen, goes, "Oh, this final game." You're like, "What? Is that it?" That was
underwhelming.
If this was a state of play, it completely changed the narrative.
Well, that's it. It kind of we said in our last podcast episode about PlayStation being the like premium place to go to in this Xbox versus PlayStation rivalry situation at the minute, where PlayStation will potentially become the place to play the top end AAA games. But other than Spider-Man 2, we didn't see anything.
But we know there's a lot of
Twitter post with like 25 other first party games that didn't make it to this showcase.
Yeah.
Well, the stuff that we saw at their state of play showcase that we didn't even see, that we saw trailers of before. So there's a game called Stellar Blade that we saw that we didn't see anything.
Wolverine.
Yeah, Pragmata from Capcom.
But we know the games are in development. We know they're in active development. But if they're not ready to show them off, then they're not going to show them off.
But we saw stuff from them at their state of play.
That was 2 years ago. I honestly think Sony are very in tune with the industry right now, and they've looked at what Xbox have done. Like James brought up, all of this is out in 18 months, and if they can't meet those deadlines, you get people. Everything is so fickle now. Like people are now shitting on PlayStation, and they've been the dominant console for a decade. This is where people buy their games, and all of a sudden everyone's like, "Oh, they didn't show me this Bloodborne game." It changes in a drop of a hat, and it's if they come out and go, "By the way, this is out," then, and development has a bit of a hitch,
bit of a snag, and they can't meet those deadlines.
Even when
it causes so much more, many more issues than just not saying anything.
Quiet.
Yeah.
So does that mean to say then that all the games that we saw at the showcase are sort of coming out soon then? Other than maybe Metal Gear.
Metal Gear was just Konami and PlayStation are like dancing around each other, and it's flirting like they're gonna buy it. It's gonna be bought, but it's not. Yeah. It's like a will they won't they relationship. I'm surprised Silent Hill 2 wasn't shown. That was because that's a PlayStation 5 exclusive, and we've actually seen that game. But I think most of those are probably like Devolver you can trust. Capcom are on an absolute tear lately with great games. So Dragon's Dogma 2 will come out at a certain point. I just think for their own games, they put everything on to such a high standard. So unless they're ready to show it, they're not going to show you anything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like always, we have to just kind of wait and see what happens with those. And we've got the PlayStation show, the Xbox showcase next month. So I'm sure there's going to be some surprises there too. And but the games are there. They'll kind of get here eventually, and we just have to wait for a little bit longer, I suppose. But that was the PlayStation showcase.
It was.
Well, as usual, we thought we'd end with a couple more listener questions. First question from Stephen Rollington via email. Hello. Ben often mentions alphas and betas he's tested. Is this in a professional capacity? If so, how did this come about, and has any feedback been implemented into the final version of the game? I think he's overestimating your involvement in these.
Well, I don't know. I was playing a beta yesterday. So I've first of all, is this in a professional capacity? Definitely not. But I would bloody love it to be. But I'd sign up as soon as I see a game that I'm interested in. I usually go and sign up straight away. And there have been occasions in the past where I have beta tested games and would then automatically get an invite, maybe like 5 years later, without even having to request access. Like EA was an example of that. Every time there was, maybe many people are just subject to this too, but there have been times where they're like, "Oh, cool, you played this in the past. Let's play it again." Yeah. But so, for instance, yesterday and the day before, I was playing this new alpha for a game called Warhammer 40k Speed Freaks.
That looks really good.
And my God, it's so good. Really? But if so, has any feedback been implemented? I don't know. I gave some.
Did you give feedback then? Is that what?
How does that work?
So
do you answer a questionnaire afterwards, or?
Yeah, so the game like the finals had a really, really good questionnaire. There was like 2 types of questionnaires. The quick 1-page sort of general satisfaction questions that you'd expect some players to provide. And then they had this like 10-page, really in-depth questionnaire. And they warned you at the beginning, like, this is going to take you like 10 minutes to do. So I think they fully expect people to not. But the questions were a lot more thorough, a lot more specific. Yeah. And I always take the time to reply back and make, especially if it's something or a game that I actually care about. So as soon as that questionnaire came up for the finals, literally my most anticipated game, I couldn't do it quick enough. I wanted it to be as thorough, as insightful as I possibly could be. Yeah. But it's hard really, because where I'm obviously absolutely no game dev of any kind, no knowledge, it's very easy for me to say like, oh, the gun doesn't feel quite right, when that's not actually anything critical or constructive.
Yeah, what can they do with that bit of feedback?
Yeah, exactly. So if there's any feedback that's been implemented in the final version, very hard to say, but I'm sure, like, for instance, I won't go on forever, but there's a game that I have also been playing called Still Hunters, mentioned that before in a previous episode. Once again, filled out a questionnaire, and they're very, very talkative in the Discord. The mod in that Discord's chatting every day, asking for feedback and whatnot.
Yeah.
And once again, not sure. I'm sure they have a way of filtering out what's useful, what's not. So hard to say.
I guess that's one of the perks of being a PC gamer, isn't it? Like these betas and alphas are only ever on PC, really. So if there's a game you're interested in, there is a chance to play it early. Just a quick word on the finals, actually, before we sort of wrap up this question. I played the first playtest of that game, and it was atrocious. I did not like it whatsoever. But then we all got into, well, not Charlie, but Ben, Connor, and me and James. We all got into the recent playtest, which was a massive improvement. Amazing. It was a massive improvement. Like, the improvement was just ridiculous over what I played in the first one. So it's quite nice to be part of that process, to give feedback. So I did give feedback on the original playtest I played. I told them what I felt, and I felt it was shit.
And not saying
they didn't listen to you. Well, I don't know if they did listen to me, but it's good to be part of that journey, because at the end of the day, the content is for you as a gamer.
Well, that's it. And I think there's a massive difference between the betas that are like public. If you hear of an open beta, the game's done. Like, not done, 100%, but they know where the game's done. But if it's a beta that you have to sign up for and you get an email, then
you're the chosen one. You're part of a special.
You know your feedback's going to be.
They're thinking, fuck, hang on, wait a minute. We need to know what Ben thinks. Let's send him an email, get him invited to this game right now.
Where's Ben?
We need his feedback right now.
I'm too busy.
Anyway, moving on.
Podcast.
So another question to wrap up this little section. Tyler from Nottingham via email says, what do you do when you are really excited for a game that launches to negative reviews and or controversy? Interesting. Charlie?
It's a tough one because I think it's very hard not to let that review cloud your own judgment.
Yeah.
And you do almost want to play it for yourself, but then I think it depends on what the feedback or controversy is. Because there's certain things where you might go, I'm not going to bother buying that game.
Yeah.
Well,
if it's minimal, you might think, well, it could be patched or whatever. I'll give it a go and see what I think.
Because there was a game that I was looking forward to called Meet Your Maker from the Dead by Daylight devs. And I was really looking forward to that. And I was like, I might get this on day one. I was really on the edge of buying it. And then when it came out, reviews were bad, and I completely U-turned my I'm not going to get this now.
Yeah.
But it depends. Like, if the final comes out and the reviews are bad, I'm going to be like, but I know I want to get it.
You've already played it.
But you've already played it, so unless it changes drastically, what you're going to get with that game. So I mean, I think for me personally, I don't really take it too badly. Like, if a game that I'm hyped for comes out and it's shit, it's a bummer, but nothing you can do about it. So whatever. Don't waste your time sort of wishing it was better.
Yeah, I think it depends on how bad. If it's getting like 1s and 2s, I'll probably steer clear. But if it's like 6s and it maybe hasn't hit the hype, I will eventually get it and play it if I like the concept of it. And
might be a case of wait for a sale.
And the controversies, I think it's all depends on what it is. We see Harry Potter get absolutely slated leading up to release.
Yeah.
But the game reviews really well. So there is a part of me that's like, oh, but it looks really good. I want to try it. Unless it comes out and it's slated for the right reasons, it's getting slagged off.
I think the main kind of takeaway is you can't really judge it until you play it for yourself, unless the opinions are overwhelmingly swung in one way or another. Then you can probably say, well, I'll leave it for now. But most of the time, it's good to go out there and play the game for yourself, to watch the film for yourself, to do that for yourself before you judge it. We don't want to be judgmental and say something shit before we've even sniffed at it, do we?
We all tried Redfall, even though it'd been lambasted all over the internet. We still went out and tried it. I think you have to.
Yeah.
And I regret that deeply. If in doubt, read the Steam reviews of people that have actually played the game.
You can't go wrong with the
just
Steam
listen
reviews.
to IGN or us or whatever.
Us, not IGN. Well, thank you for sending those in. And if you'd like to reach out to us with questions or comments, then you can send us a message to hello@checkpointradio.co.uk or join our Discord server and get in touch directly on there. Well, that was episode 8 of Checkpoint Radio. We hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for listening. My name is James.
I'm Ben.
I'm Connor.
And I'm Charlie. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.